Dear colleagues, allow me to welcome the Secretary General, and I would like to ask the Secretary General to make his introductory statement.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I established the Office of Counterterrorism in 2017 for several fundamental reasons: to help strengthen international counterterrorism cooperation, to expand multilateral networks for sharing information to detect, identify, disrupt and prosecute terrorists, and to ensure that member states most affected by terrorism have the capacity to tackle this evolving threat. The recent despicable attacks in Kenya, New Zealand and Sri Lanka, among others, are tragic reminders of the global reach of the scourge of terrorism. These attacks underscore the need to work closely with partners across the United Nations system and beyond. The United Nations Countering Terrorism Travel Programme we launched today is about helping to meet all these objectives. I would like to thank the Dutch government for its generous contribution to this effort. And I also appreciate the continued support of the governments of India, Japan, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the State of Qatar to the counterterrorism work of the United Nations. Excellencies, over the last 7 years, there has been a dramatic movement of terrorists to and from conflict zones around the world. Just 2 years ago, we estimated that over 40,000 foreign terrorist fighters from more than 110 countries may have traveled to join terrorist groups in the Syrian Arab Republic and Iraq. Following the territorial defeat of ISIL, many terrorists are trying to return home or relocate to safe havens or other troubled parts of the world. Many are well trained and could carry out future terrorist attacks. Others hope to radicalize and recruit new followers to their cause. They, as well as those they inspire, represent a major transnational threat. Detecting and disrupting these terrorists and other high-risk criminals prior to them carrying out an attack is a high priority for the international community. The General Assembly and Security Council Resolution 2396 have reaffirmed the need to strengthen our international cooperation and information sharing to improve national detection capacities and prevent the travel of terrorists. The program will help member states collect, process and share travel data with other competent national and international authorities with full respect for privacy and other fundamental freedoms. We know that policies that fully respect human rights are essential in tackling violent extremism. This information sharing will enhance the abilities of member states to effectively detect, prevent, investigate and prosecute terrorist offences, including their related travel. Importantly, this will also enable the detection and disruption of human trafficking and other forms of serious organized crime and to faster identify their victims. The UN family is ready to assist in protecting and ensuring the rights of all victims whose interests are served by this project. It represents the kind of cooperative, intergovernmental and institutional approach that I aimed for when I established the Global Counterterrorism Coordination Compact last year to enhance counterterrorism coordination and coherence across the system. In that context, the United Nations Counterterrorism Center has also stepped up its efforts to meet the growing expectations and demands from countries most affected by terrorism. I'm grateful to Ambassador Al-Mualimi of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for his able chairmanship of the Center's Advisory Board. Let us all pledge to continue to work together in pragmatic and innovative ways to address serious threats to international peace and security. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to welcome you all, Excellencies, Madam Deputy Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, to the commemorative event for the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka, which my office has co-organized with the Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka. This event is intended not only to express condolences to the government and people of Sri Lanka, but also to reflect on how to strengthen our cooperation in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. I would like now to deliver my opening remarks. Your Excellency, Dr. Rohan Pereira, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations, Madam Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ahyu Bovan, Badnam Khan. It is with profound sadness that I join with the Sri Lankan mission to the United Nations to commemorate the horrific attack that took place in Batticaloa, Colombo, and Negombo on Easter Sunday, 21 of April 2019, resulting in the tragic loss of over 250 lives and the injury of many more. Targeting worshippers, families, workers, and holiday makers on a day celebrated by Christians around the world, as well as Sri Lankans of all faiths, are cowardly and despicable. These attacks have ignited fear among communities in Sri Lanka, a country still grappling with the deep wounds inflicted by 3 decades of civil war. Against this backdrop, I was deeply moved by the images of Sri Lankans, Buddhist, Christians, Hindu, Muslim, Sinhalese, Tamil, and others donating blood to treat survivors. Mosques and temples have opened their doors to Christian services. That is an inspiring expression of courage and resilience, of unity. It is imperative that the international community stands with Sri Lanka at this challenging time and keeps its promises to support lasting peace and reconciliation. Excellencies and dear friends, it is devastating that we are here again this morning to reflect on tragic events barely a month after the General Assembly adopted Resolution 73/285 on combating terrorism and other acts of violence based on religion or belief. Since then, there have been attacks against churches, mosques, and synagogues in several other countries too. I hope that we can use today's commemoration to express our solidarity with Sri Lanka first and foremost, but also to strengthen our resolve to combat violent extremism. We must increase multilateral cooperation on security. We must tackle the financing of terrorism. We must ensure that new and evolving technologies promote and do not harm human security. While protecting freedom of expression, we must also find ways to address incitement to violence through traditional and social media. It is sobering that the theme of World Press Freedom Day today is journalism in times of disinformation. Above all, we must work together to tackle the root causes of extremism. We must find ways not only to promote tolerance, but to foster understanding, kindness, empathy, and compassion. No one should feel they have so little to lose or feel so alienated from political processes that murder holds more appeal than conversation and dialogue. Excellencies, as we remember the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks, Sri Lankans of all backgrounds and nationals of over 15 countries, let us send a strong message today. The international community stands together in the fight against extremism and violence in all its forms. We reaffirm our commitment to the rule of law, to multilateralism, and to the values of peace, development, and human rights for all. We are united in embracing our common humanity. Istuti Nandri. Thank you.